The Raptors president of basketball operations. We know that there have been all these stories about the potential of his departure after they win the championship. He's the one who rolled the dice in a huge way, making the huge trade in the coaching change last year, and came up as big as you could possibly come up. For the very latest on his future, the decisions he has made, let's bring Woj back into the conversation. What is the latest on Ujiri and the Raptors?
Well, Masai's under contract for at least 2 more years in Toronto. You know, Washington had, heavily weighed making a run at Ujiri. And, in the end, they didn't call for permission to talk to him about running Washington. They had been very publicly rejected by Tim Connolly, the president in Denver. Washington didn't want to have that happen a second time. And I think ultimately in the end, 2 factors. One, in the end, I don't think they thought they could get Masai. I think they were perhaps even leery about what it would cost financially to get him, so that they never ultimately made the call. And Tommy Shepard, who's their interim GM, they've been happy with how he has handled making changes with process, all the things that maybe weren't there in Washington under the previous regime. And they've allowed him here to keep going through the draft and now into free agency, and they'll reevaluate it in D.C. How they want to go forward.
And so, Woj, back in Toronto, is there any way to gauge how this impacts Kawhi's upcoming decision?
Well, it's certainly a positive, and I think what Masai Ujiri has done, which is really remarkable, is build a relationship with Kawhi Leonard. That's not easy to do in less than a year. It took the Spurs years to do that. Now, Kawhi was a much younger player when he came in the league, and he's more mature. I think it probably was a little easier to build a relationship with him. But given that this was a player who was not happy about being traded there, who really at the very beginning of his arrival in Toronto just saw this as a 1-year way station on his way to somewhere else. And what Masai did, what the Raptors organization did, was make a compelling case to him that they were a viable alternative long term. They're certainly under consideration right now. They managed his health in a great way. They put a team around him that allowed him to win the championship, to be a Finals MVP. They closed a gap that there was a tremendous gulf from where they started to where they are now on the cusp of July free agency.
Outstanding. Woj, as always, terrific work. Thanks you so much, my friend, and we'll see you again soon. Let me bring Jay Will back into the
Best in the business.
Ujiri, you're talking about. Woj, yes, absolutely.
Ujiri is
no question. Woj is the best in the business. Ujiri may have generally managed his way into the Hall of Fame with the stuff he did this year. But the big question is, where does all of this leave Kawhi Leonard?
I've been spending time thinking about this, Greeny. The most important thing for Kawhi is to secure the bag long term. A lot of people say, oh, he can do a 1-and-1. And coming off the NBA Finals, watching Kevin Durant go down, being there, watching Klay Thompson go down, it just leads. And I know people can come up with the alternative narrative, well, he's still going to be one of the best players in the league. Even if he does get hurt, he can still secure the max. That sounds fine until it's you in that situation. That sounds fine until you have an injury that maybe you potentially couldn't come back from. So I think for Kawhi, yes, if you want to stay in Toronto, think about the long-term deal. You can make $50 million more than you could there anywhere else. Or even if you do think about the Clippers, sign that 4-year deal, sign that 5-year deal, secure the bag long-term.
It is really a remarkable thing when you think about it. There are so many circumstances that are unprecedented in sports. Based upon the way the NBA structure works, guys are making decisions that are really not based on winning championships, and they're not based on money. So what exactly is it he wants? He's a Southern California guy. Maybe he wants to go there. Maybe he likes it in Toronto. Do you want to come back and win it again? And what they're willing to do in some cases is for someone to put $250 million on the table and to willingly just pass on that. No, that's okay. Just you hold on to that money for the time being. I'm all right. We'll do this. And look, he probably is safe. He probably will make that money somewhere else. But I agree, just on its face, the notion of someone saying, here's an extra $50 million, here's $200-something million on the table right now, and here's a pen. The notion of saying, no, I'm going to make another decision than that is unfathomable.
And I hear what people, look, this is business too. And sometimes when you're in business screening, it could be a little bit cold-hearted. So let's say that 1% injury does occur to Kawhi. I knock on wood, it doesn't occur to anybody.
Of course.
but it does occur. If you're the Raptors, you have to really be put in that situation. Okay, like, do we want to offer him this now if we do a one-on-one? Like, do we want to offer him the max deal considering this injury did happen? People will look at it realistically and practically and be like, maybe we can't offer that anymore.
Here's what I will say, that if his primary objective is to win another championship, and look, he's got 2 of them and 2 finals MVPs, and you're allowed to make your decisions based on whatever criteria you like. If his primary objective is to win another championship, I think his best chance to do it is in Toronto.
I agree.
Right? You stay in the Eastern Conference. The entire team comes back together again. We think that there's a lot of more movement coming on in the West. You've proven you can do it there. I think that is probably his best course of action. I know the Clippers could be real good if they get him, but that's a little jumbled over there. I think if winning is his first objective, I think Toronto is the place.
The question is that the long-term place for Kawhi, or does Kawhi inevitably want to get back to the Clippers? I just don't see that one-year deal, that one-on-one deal. I don't like that. It gives me a weird feeling coming off what happened in NBA Finals.
Me too, but if I had to bet on it right now, I would bet that's what he's going to do. And
Probably so.
God bless him. He's going to do. He's put himself in a position he can do whatever he wants. I agree. It's not even a bag. It's luggage. He's going to secure the suitcase. In this case, we're talking about a whole lot of money. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.